Alrighty. Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, and we are so excited that you're joining us on our masterclass. We have a special guest here with us today. I'm super excited about her coming and also excited about our topic. So while we're kind of waiting for a few people to join, I'll introduce her in a second. We were actually just talking about the craziness that's going on around the country. I know our phones are blowing up, especially in Texas, and you're saying you have family that lives in Arkansas, and it's just pumps are bursting, electricity's out, and we just, if you are in those locations, like our heart goes out to you. I hope you guys are surviving okay. Um, it's just kind of a wacky, I don't know, the wackiness just doesn't end, I guess. It started a year ago and it's just going still. So
I can't believe we're about to hit March 2021 when this all started a year ago. It's so
right.
crazy. But hopefully spring is on the way and this crazy weather and snow and ice is gone after this nasty spell that we're all having right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So okay, so I'm going to introduce Melissa here. She is one of our partner friends over at WorkEase. They are a field service software system that is incredible and has so many amazing bells and whistles, which I'm sure she'll talk a little bit about later. But Melissa, so your background, and correct me if I get any of this wrong, but you owned organization business in San Diego, right?
I did. I owned a residential decluttering slash professional home organization business here in the San Diego area and did that for about 2 years. Obviously, productivity, time management, organization holds a very special place in my heart. And so I decided to join WorkEase as a partner development manager here in San Diego, California. And I just absolutely love this product. I'm so excited to be here and working with companies like you all. I just, believe it or not, I love efficiencies and workflows, and that's sort of like my superpower and the name of my game. So happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We're excited for you to be here with us. When we were talking about a good conversation to have this time of year. And I mean, I know usually you talk about, the new year, everything you're going to get done, the beginning of the year, but I actually love like taking a pause right around now. I mean, we're a month and a half through this new year already. So it's like you either have already thrown away your goals because it's like I'm not going to get them done, or you're just feeling overwhelmed, or maybe you're in a good spot with them and you just want to make sure you're going to actually achieve them. So I thought it'd be a good time to kind of take a pause and just evaluate, how you are on your path and what you can maybe be doing in your life and with running your business to make it all run a little more efficiently so that you can be that much better in achieving all your goals. I think with what we're talking about, with how crazy, I mean, it's been this past year, and it just kind of like keeps throwing new snowballs at us of that we need to be ready for. I mean, the more efficiently we can run our business and our lives, the more we're going to be able to handle all these things that come at us. Because the more things you have in place, the more systems you have in place for things to kind of just run automatically and to have everything organized, the better when something comes that you weren't expecting, the better able you're going to handle it, because you're just going to be more balanced in everything that you're doing. So when you get thrown off balance, it's not going to be way overwhelming because you've kind of got most things kind of in a row and running effectively, right?
Definitely. Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself. Yep. It's so important to automate, to let things work on their own in the back end. We are in the digital age, obviously, the world of AI and voice to text and Alexa and Siri and all of these things are, trying to help our lives. And so why not use more tools like that to really automate your business efficiencies, because we can't do it all as business owners. The clients that we work with, the clients that you all work with, it is so hard to manage, 55 spinning plates at any given time. And so
Right.
it's like, why not automate what you can and then really focus and fine tune what you need to work on for yourself?
Absolutely. Definitely. Well, Melissa, let's dig in. I'm excited to hear what we're going to talk about today and learn a little bit more.
Definitely. So, the rundown of today, we're going to be going over business owner productivity tricks, time management tips, a prioritization perks, and then we'll get into a Q&A for those of us that are joining live today. Let's
Awesome.
look at our
Yeah, and as always, if anyone has any questions or comments, please, share. Listen, I don't know if it's possible to turn up the volume just a little bit on your end. We can hear you, but it might just or help just a little
yeah,
bit. But
definitely. I can
yeah,
talk a little bit louder and be a little bit closer to my camera.
perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
I
Awesome.
can definitely always be louder. That is, since I was a little girl, I've always been told to, quiet my voice.
Hey,
So
it's a gift. It's a gift to have pipes.
Awesome. So becoming a productivity pro. So, like I mentioned before, when you're a busy, busy business owner, you have a million plates spinning, especially now with the added layer of the ongoing global pandemic upon us. As Michelle mentioned, we're just constantly getting these curveballs slash snowballs thrown at us this week, especially. It's so important to really set your schedules and expectations as a business owner. So, this goes into your life as well as your work life as well. There is work life balance, we hear work life integration, we hear balancing your productivity in all areas of your life, personal and professional, but really setting schedules for yourself. So do you have your working hours laid out in your online booking tool, in your features with Jill's office that you're working with, right? Do they know when they need to answer the phone versus when you might be answering the phone? Holidays, weekends, time off, vacations, things like that. When are you setting those schedules? And then when are you setting those expectations with your family, with your kids, with your pets, even? There's so much coming at us at any given time, that how are you setting those boundaries so that what you need to work on and what you need to focus on, what's focus time versus what is the time for the kids and the ball games and the spouse dinners and things like that, right?
I love that, and I like how you said schedule and expectation because I think as business owners, I mean, you can say we're open 8 to 5 or whatever it may be, but you really are working 24/7. I mean, like it's like you can't ever completely turn off business. So, the question becomes, how do you manage that expectation with your family and with balancing, work and personal life so that even though you might get stuff being thrown at you constantly, can you set boundaries where you say, I am actually going to turn off my phone, at this time every day. I'm going to stop talking about business at this time of day. I think especially if you're in business with like your spouse or maybe other family members, sometimes that's harder, but almost more important to have times where like we are not going to talk shop. Like we're going to focus on each other. We're going to focus on our relationship. To take a mental break from your business, I think is so important because I feel like you actually work better in your business if you can take that mental break away from it.
Definitely, definitely. And especially as you're growing and scaling, like you mentioned, if you're hiring on other team members, if you're hiring on other family members, how are you setting their schedules? So do you know that, field service tech, say you have an HVAC business or an electrician business or a plumbing business, and you're out there and you're saying, okay, well, these are my CEO days. These are the days that I'm going to be in the office doing paperwork, doing invoicing, doing whatever I need to do to move the needle forward in my business. When I have Tim out in the field on these days and Seth out in the field on these days and Ed out in the field on these days, how are you setting those schedules and laying them out in a way that makes sense? That's kind of what Workies can definitely help you with, as far as the color coding and the metro areas of kind of knowing where all your people are in the field at any given time, so that you can be the CEO and actually focus on the stuff you need to focus on.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yep. And then getting paid. So who doesn't want to get paid? That's why we're in business, right? I just, the amount of times I've seen so many customers come to Workies that didn't have any sort of invoicing system or payment system. They're still accepting paper checks only or cash only. They're still doing their little carbon copy receipts. Or invoicing, mailing invoices, trying to email invoices manually, and just really chasing their tail, not being able to get paid. Now, obviously, we have things like, Venmo and PayPal and things like that. But what Workies really has is the fully integrated payment system, so that everything goes into the same place. You have the client's information in there, you have the customer's info in there to invoice, send them a text, send them an email. and get paid right away instead of using all these 5,000 different systems to try to get your money. We
Right.
also
Simplicity is the
integrate
key.
with QuickBooks, which is awesome. I know a lot of customers that use QuickBooks, obviously pretty well known name. And then just recently, we also integrate with Gusto to pay your staff. So if you have anyone that you need to pay, whether they're a subcontractor or an employee, we also now integrate with Gusto, which is super cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. We love Gusto. I love the pig and the little mask that he wears now. It's so cute.
No, I had a call with our partners at Gusto a couple of weeks ago, and I guess her name, she has a full name. Her name is Penny the Pig, and she is seasonal. So right now she has her little COVID friendly mask on. But sometimes you'll see her with a little winter scarf on, or you'll see her
Oh,
with
how
a
cute.
Santa hat on. It's so cute. Yeah, their branding is awesome. And then letting the phones answer themselves. So obviously we are partnered with Jill's office. This is something that is so huge for business owners. We do have, all of our call masking and call flows and things that you can set up within the Workies system when you're working during those business hours. Or if you have a dispatch team, a lot of our clients don't have a full, admin staff that's working in their office. They're trying to juggle a million things. So outsourcing the calling can also be super, super helpful. Michelle, do you want to kind of comment on that?
I mean, okay, I guess like today, especially in this week, I know we keep talking about this, is just a perfect example to me of why it's so important to have help with that. Because even if you do have, if your wife's helping answer the phones or your husband, or, if you have a in-office receptionist or admin in some way, even then it's impossible to get all your calls because it's not like people call in this perfect order and, oh, let me call. They just finished another call. I mean, you're always going to have someone waiting if for when you're at lunch, or when you're before or after hours, or if you're sick, or like today's like this where it's literally just ringing off the hook for a lot of our clients, just like constantly. You need that help to make sure that you can get all your customers, and that you aren't throwing away any of those calls to your competition by not answering promptly. So it's important just to get that help. And then also with what we were talking about earlier, to have boundaries with your business. If you're paying marketing dollars to get that phone to ring, so if you don't have someone helping, of course you're going to want to answer every call because you get paid good money to get that phone to ring. So if you can outsource that and pay someone a couple bucks to answer that call, and then book that $500,000 job or whatever it may be, then it's worth the rate of return, that your phones are getting covered, and that you actually have time to de-stress, spend time with your family, or get other things done in your business that may need your attention and undivided attention, and not get constantly interrupted every time the phone rings.
Definitely. Yeah. What we've found is that 30% of customers will actually just move on to the next person on the list if the phone isn't answered the first time. So say this isn't like a repeat customer and you are that HVAC, that electrician, that plumbing service, and you're listed on Google, maybe your SEO is pretty good and you're showing up in results, but guess what, if you don't answer the phone, they're moving on. They are like on to the next. So how many times have you, as a homeowner or just in general, needed a service, needed to get even your nails done or something, right? And you just keep calling like, hey, I can't wait.
Right, exactly.
It's automation is definitely key here. The other part of this too is chat bots. That's sort of the new thing that I'm sure everybody that's watching this today, and Michelle, I'm sure yourself, you're on these websites and it's this little robot that pops up in the little corner, pings you, hey, can I help you? Workies also has a little chat bot that can help you book any of your appointments, any of your scheduled services. It matches up to your schedule, to your calendar. It knows where all of your techs are in the field as far as your team members, and matches up the availability with what they'll offer up to customers that come to your website.
So okay, so wait, the bot actually can schedule?
Yes. So it will
Really?
actually it's a one click, basically the chat bot puts it in and parses out all the information, the client's email address, the phone number, where the service is taking place, what they need, if there's any special notes like, hey, we have a pit bull, or hey, we have a baby that's sleeping, don't ring the bell, or whatever it might be as far as special instructions. And then that actually loops right into your messaging center in the Workies platform. With one click, it can schedule the job. So super simple.
Very cool. I love that. That's awesome.
Yes, I created mine the other day, and it's so easy to use. I was chatting actually with my brother, just kind of testing it out and seeing if it would work for him. And you can customize it to your brand colors. You can put your logo in there. It's super cool, and it really does feel like you're talking to a human.
I love that.
Yep. So, stop trying to be at your computer, at your phone 24/7. You have bigger fish to fry in your business.
Well, and that's what's I mean, it's like this double-edged sword with all this increased technology and communication. On the one end, it's amazing to be able to, as a consumer, have so many ways to talk to different people. And as a business owner, have so many ways people can talk to you. But then again, that's just like 100 more hats you have to wear because you have to be watching the chat on your website. You got to be watching your text. You got to be watching your phone. You got to be watching your email. And you got to be watching your social media. And it's just way overwhelming. So if you can get these things in place, if you can outsource some of it, if you can get some bots working for you, some amazing software working for you to stay so it looks like you're 100 people, but really you're just the one, and maybe you're going, taking a coffee break or whatever because everything is running efficiently and everyone's getting communicated to with their preferred mode of communication, because you really have to have all of them this day, because some people, they still want to talk to someone on the phone before they're going to book. Other people, they don't want to talk on the phone, they want to text you, they want to bot you, or excuse me, chat you. So you really have to have all those ways of communication to get all those different communication personality types out there.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's totally a generational thing too. I focus a lot on, okay, who are our boomers or even Great Depressioners that are still around, and
Right.
who are our millennials, who are our Gen Zs, how are they ordering pizza? How are they ordering Uber, Lyft? Even gosh, you can do pretty much anything with a bot these days. Like half the time I don't talk to anyone, even for like my healthcare, my dentist, like all of the above can be booked online. So why not use that to your advantage as a business owner? Awesome. So that's kind of on automation. Now we'll get into managing your time. So, are you still using one of these legal notepads with chicken scratch all over it? Are you using paper to do lists? Are they getting lost in the shuffle, spilling coffee on it, accidentally throwing a piece of paper away that you might need? Or are you using an easy to use software like Workies? Are you actually able to put everything in there? Do you have a CRM that's tracking all of your clients, your customers, your emails, your addresses, special notes on file? Or are you just trying to jot everything down? Like, okay, I got to go here tomorrow and I got to go here on Wednesday and I got to go. Like, how is that serving you? I don't think it is. So you gotta, yeah, gotta start using software, gotta enter the digital age. Believe it or not, we still have a lot of people calling us that are, like I said, they're working off those carbon copy invoices and paper to-do lists. Maybe they have some Excel spreadsheets here or there, but nothing talks to each other. So the integrations really are key.
Absolutely. So does Workies have some sort of like to-do list type of part of it?
You can add tasks for yourself. Yes,
Okay.
so it does
Yeah.
have that in there. If you need to set special reminders, also obviously with our customer notifications that are automated, it makes it so much easier. When I was a business owner and I had, 5 people on my team and we were running around San Diego organizing all these homes, it was a constant stressor to have to text every single
Mm.
client before every single appointment with every single reminder. Hey, you're confirmed for tomorrow. We'll see you then. Because half the time, people get busy. They forget they scheduled an appointment. They leave to go walk the dog. They're not home when you get there. You have to constantly be in touch with your customers. And so the software will actually do that for you. It will confirm the client, it'll send them text reminders. And even if you have our location tracking enabled, it's available for every plan that we have. But if you have that enabled, it will actually know where your drivers are when they're on their way, and it can shoot them little ETA texts like, hey, we'll be there in 15, or we're running late, there's traffic, or whatever it might be.
Love it. That is amazing.
Yep. Instead of, the gone are the days of all the manual work. That was just
Agreed.
what used to drive me crazy as a business owner. So if I had had Workies, I know that I probably would have been able to run my business way, way, way better for sure.
I love that just because of how efficient it is and organized, and like you say, you're not gonna lose the paper, but I love it too with the aspect of how much more efficient it is to manage your team. I know, like, even with my team, having access to their calendars digitally so that I know, okay, where are they right now? What are they doing? Because I need help with someone who's available to help, and so being able to manage your team, and like you're saying with the location, even know exactly where they are. Like, are they actually headed to the job? Or, if you're worried about an employee, be able to have that accountability that everyone knows what everyone's doing. We're all accountable for where we are for our time. I think that's huge. And just also just managing employees, not even just with your own time management.
Definitely. Yeah. And as you're, even if you're a one person, two person, three-person show, if you're a smaller team, if you're that, locksmith company or that appliance repair company, and you only have one, two, three people on your team, instead of writing everything down in a messy planner or a messy to-do list, that is in a silo, right? That lives somewhere where no one else can see it, no one else can access it, let alone your online booking tool doesn't know what you're actually scheduled for, your chatbot doesn't know how to schedule, Jill's office doesn't know how to schedule. Like, nobody knows what's going on in that little black book, right? And so you really need to have that cross collaboration, that cross functional organization, so that you can see what everybody's going on. Like you said,
Absolutely.
on your team, you need that transparency to go, oh, this person's definitely not available. They don't have bandwidth. I can't give that job to that person. You got to move on to the next person on your team. Or sometimes you have to do it yourself, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yep. And then the other piece of this too, let alone the paper to-do list, the messy planners, is ad tracking. So a lot of business owners, especially in these field service professions, pay for ads. And that can get really, really pricey because there are so many tools out there now. Like you mentioned, we have Thumbtack and Angie's List and House and Home Advisor and Google and Yelp and Facebook and Instagram, and it just goes on and on and on. And so as a business owner, you got to figure out where your target market is, where you're going to advertise. B, once you do start throwing money there, you've got to figure out, is this actually giving me a return on investment? What's my ROI of all this money that I'm putting into Google, Yelp, so on and so forth? So what Workies has is this really robust reporting platform on the back end with trackable ad performance. So you can actually put in, okay, these are all my lead sources. This is where I advertise. You can put in, how you want it to track, and it'll give you a monthly or weekly or however often report that you want to show, here's your pie, and these are the pieces that are actually giving you money versus the pieces that aren't performing so well. And maybe it's time to trim the fat there.
Right. Yeah, I don't even know how you don't track that as a business owner. I mean, it's just like if you're not tracking that very well, you literally could be wasting tons of money, and you could be holding yourself back on how much better you could grow by putting the money where in the things that are actually working. So vital to track that, totally vital.
Yep. And we work with a lot of marketing agencies and digital agencies that absolutely love that feature, because it's one thing for me, Melissa, to go call my junk removal guy here in San Diego from his ad that's listed on Google that he probably pays a pretty penny for. And it's another thing for me to actually go through with booking the job and showing up and not being a no call, no show or a cancellation, or just calling around just to like scrunch my pennies and check for prices and estimates and get quotes, right? And Google will actually, or I'm not blaming Google, but Yelp or any of these companies will actually, it's pay per click a lot of times. So if you're calling that person, they're getting billed for that call whether you book or not. So what Workies does is actually tracks, did the job go through the full work through, or did it get canceled? What happened to that lead?
I love that.
Yep. Because otherwise you're just wasting your time, right? You're just
Right.
you're wasting your time and your money, to be quite honest. Perfect. So moving right along, a lot of you have probably heard of SMART goal setting. If you've ever worked with a business coach or a consultant or gone to business school or had a mentor or anything like that, we've all kind of heard of these SMART goals. Those are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. There's also realistic and achievable. There's other little words you can throw in there that, various different variations of. But what I like to do is know that data is key. So again, with all the reporting, like you said, how could you not be looking at your numbers? How could you not be looking at your return on investment? or tracking, hey, how many calls came in? How many calls came in from that ad? How many leads came in? How many calls did I get this time last year versus now? You know, is my business being affected by COVID, or is my business booming right now? For a lot of these home service businesses, it is. So data really is key so that you can set your goals, but then also follow through with them and make sure you're meeting your goals.
Right.
I put on there too. You might be wondering what that is. So the SMARTER goals is evaluate and readjust. So like you mentioned, Michelle, you know, we're about 6 weeks into 2021. A lot of people have probably forgotten about the New Year's resolutions they set. They've probably forgotten about the goals that they set, or that they journaled out or reflected on, or maybe wrote it on a Post-it somewhere and threw it away and they forgot about it, right? So it's so important to actually evaluate and readjust. And how can you do that without the data? So we love data here at work. We love our reporting functions. Any questions or anything so far?
I mean, I love everything you're going through. I'm honestly, as we're talking about this, I'm just trying to remember. I mean, I'm sure some of our people have been in business for the past, 30 years more. But I mean, it's just amazing to think of when we didn't have all these tools. How did you even really know where to put your money? I mean, it's just crazy where our world's come. And I'm sure in another 30 years we'll be like, how'd they do it back then? But I mean, it's like you really were walking in the dark more. I guess you can ask them, where'd you hear about us and things like that. But without having these ways to track your data, and if you aren't doing that right now, you really are walking a little bit blind in your business.
That's so true. Yeah, I know I look young, but I remember the newspaper, putting ads in the newspaper, putting ads in the classified, finding jobs in the classified, looking at the penny saver to try to get used furniture. We didn't have like Craigslist and Nextdoor and all these things, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's definitely the digital age and the age of AI, and especially during COVID with everybody going remote. Home service businesses are essential, obviously. Your plumbers, your electricians, your service pro heroes, so to speak. And those are the guys that are, just booming during this time. But if you're not automating, if you're not systematizing, if you're not streamlining those processes and making your business more efficient, then it's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot harder if you're still kind of living in that penny saver age, right?
Right. Yep.
The other thing that you may have heard about is key performance indicators. So KPIs. This is another kind of buzzword like the SMART goals that we hear about. And I always like to say what gets measured gets improved. So for example, how many calls are you getting per week? How many of those calls are actually converting to jobs? Where are those calls coming from? Are you texting your employees? Are you texting your customers? Are people opening things? Are they opening invoices? Are they opening text messages? We can actually see all of that, which is really cool, because that way you can actually measure it. You mentioned a little bit, even on the internal side, of if you're having an issue with an employee, how do we mitigate this? How do we track this? You're not in an office where you're working with these people day in and day out, and you can kind of, micromanage them or breathe over them or be a little bit of a helicopter manager, which obviously no one wants that. But when you're a field service business, you can't do that, right? They are literally out there doing the thing, representing your company. And so how can you track all of those analytics of when did they arrive? When did they leave? Did they ask the customer to leave a review? Did the customer leave a good review? There's so many different pieces that come into even the performance management side of things.
Absolutely.
The
Yeah.
other thing that I wanted to mention too is just really on the spirit of entering the digital age, systematizing and strategizing, really using helpful apps that can help your business instead of trying to do everything pen and paper or even everything on a clunky computer. Because again, as business owners, we can't be in front of the computer all day, every day. We don't have time to sit on our butts and just do administrative work all day, right? There are so many different plates that are spinning in all of our businesses at any given time. And so we do have the Workies app, which is awesome to automate your business management system. You can do a lot of functions on there. Most of them are going to be like the more robust features are going to be on the desktop, software. But when you're on your app, that makes it really helpful because you can actually get those calls, you can get those texts, you can, call Jill's office, say, hey, I need help. Can you put me on? Or, however you want to do it. Really downloading as many apps as you can that are going to help your business succeed. Specifically, obviously, Workies, we want you to get that app and see how you like it.
Awesome.
Yep. Perfect. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Maybe, I mean, one thing that if you had to give a brief snapshot, because I know that one thing about Workies is it is more than just like invoicing, it is more than just a calendar and that kind of thing. I mean, we've talked about a lot of them, but if we can just quickly go through, because I know it has a phone system within it too, right? If you're trying to, because I know a lot of people we're talking to, they're like, my cell phone, my personal cell phone is my business line, and they're always trying to figure out how do I transition to a business line. I mean, within Workies, it has a whole phone system, isn't that correct?
Yes. So we have the full two-way communication platform, which, like I mentioned, you no longer have to manually confirm with every single customer, especially these larger companies that might have 15, 20 people out in the field. Can you imagine how much manual work that would be? And, what happens if you forget Susie and then Susie doesn't show up and then there's missed money for you, right? So it automates all of your customer communication as far as the texting and emailing, the invoicing and the payments. Your chatbot and your online booking can take care of the scheduling for you if you're not able to answer the phone. But then you also have call plans within the Workies system. So we have different buckets of pricing. If you want to purchase multiple phone numbers, it'll actually let you pick whichever area code you want. So say you have multiple locations in other areas of the state or even other states, you can buy as many of these numbers as you want. It's really cool. I know in my business, I used to use Google Voice, which is even a few steps ahead of most business owners who just use their personal cell. But I started getting so many weirdos calling me and just spam callers. And I was like, okay, I got to get away from this. But even with that, again, it didn't integrate with anything. So everything was happening in a silo off to the side where I didn't know, I couldn't hear my staff take those calls. I couldn't listen to the call recordings for, quality assurance and customer service purposes. I couldn't, just with one click, turn that voicemail into a scheduled job, which you can do in the Workies system. So yes, I was trying, but again, I think if I knew about Workies at the time, I think my business would have really taken off a lot more.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and how does that work with the voicemail thing? That was interesting. You're
Yeah.
saying,
So you can actually, whenever somebody calls, so say that you were to call me in my junk removal business and you called, I wasn't able to get to the phone because I was, on another job, right? That happens all the time with our businesses that we work with. Wasn't able to get to the phone. You leave a voicemail. Hey, it's Michelle. I live at blah, blah, blah street. My phone number is blah, blah, blah. My email is blah, blah, blah. I have this big ugly couch that needs to get out of my house. My husband's going to kill me, but I got to have it out of here. I need it done ASAP whenever you can make it out, right? From one click in our messaging center within Workies, we can actually schedule that as a job, and it's going to parse out all the information with like the voice to text where, like anything you say now can be transcribed, right? It's a little creepy, but it works for automation. And then that way I know where I'm going to Michelle's house with the email, with the phone number, all the things. And I can either send you a text or an email like, hey, we got it. Does this time work for you? I don't even have to call you back if I don't want to.
oh, wow. Very cool. I love that. Wow. You guys just have a lot of the cutting edge technology out there. So, I mean, it's amazing everything it does. Every time I talk to you guys, I learn about something new. So, very cool. Well, we'll drop a link below. We do have a discount. Trying to remember what it is exactly. I know it's something. Oh, you have it on there. Thank you. It's like, okay, so 50% off for 3 months. Okay, yeah, go make sure you go to the website. It's workies.com/Jill's-office. That will get you that special offer there. But everyone that we work with at Workies, we completely love. They're awesome people. So definitely check it out. Melissa, if you had to give like one takeaway of what business owners could do today just to, make their jobs easier? What would it be?
I think just try to automate as much as you can. So whether that's a chatbot or an online booking or outsourcing to, call center or receptionist or whatever you need to do, automate what you can so that you can really focus on what's going to move the needle forward, what's going to increase your return on investment of time, money, and energy.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing. This has been great. We will repost this for anyone that maybe didn't catch the whole thing on our YouTube station. So be sure to check it out. And thank you so much, Melissa. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Michelle. This has been awesome and hope to see you again very soon.
Yes. All right. Have a good one, everyone. Take care. Bye.